What do you think about violence in the north side?
It's terrible. There's too much going on. Not enough jobs, not enough resources for the people, for the young kids especially. Nowhere really for them to go to hang out, vent, allow some of the added stress of life, to be some people go play sports, but if you don't like sports, there's really nothing for you to do in the community.
What can we do? It's out of control. And there's too much violence, especially when it comes to gun violence, in primarily the north side of Minneapolis, even though that affects the whole city of Minneapolis. And there is a ton of money. There are a ton of resources. However, these resources and these monies are not being distributed accordingly. So therefore, we keep having the same results, which is a lot of gun violence. People getting shot on a daily basis throughout the city, again, with a primary focus right here in the urban areas. That's what I can kind of tell you about it.
Groups like I said, like ourselves, Face to Face, who deal with grief and trauma are not being reached out to, I think, the way they should be. Other groups that are similar to us are not being reached out. They're not being funded. This takes work. It takes time. It takes dedication. And right now, I'm just not seeing what needs to be done in the community right now, like 911.
I think it's out of hand, it's out of control, and I don't think it's being addressed on the level that it should be addressed.
One of the challenges is with our youth don't have enough opportunities in order for them to spend their time.
I think primarily it is youth-orientated violence that we're seeing because of the lack of programming and in place to really assist the youth with finding positive things to do.
It's gotten to the point where you get so numb, and it shouldn't be numb to you, I used to cry about it, but now I'm just like, when it happens, it's just like, it's just like a oh well type of thing, and it's not human.
It is a concern. I think things have improved somewhat, but there's still more that we can do as a community to mitigate some of the violence that goes on.
One last question. What is one thing you could recommend others to help with violence in the north side?
Definitely connecting with our community organizations who are working around violence.
He may have disrespected you, but at the end of the day, it's just words. It's just words. Words without action is meaningless.
The only way you're going to end violence in North Minneapolis is to take Minneapolis back. We have to take North Minneapolis back. We sort of did something similar over in South Minneapolis. Violence seems to consume a community and take territory. That's why you see graffiti and all that kind of stuff, and people living just out in the open, just violence out in the open and stuff. We have to take our community back and have to let people know that it's just not tolerated here.
They have to come out and get involved. You can't just talk about it on social media. You have to come back out and take your community back.
Is one, knowing my neighbors, being able to recognize who in my neighborhood does not belong, or when I say doesn't belong, it means that they're not a community member and they may be loitering or hanging around for purposes that we don't know.
Developing a support system so when people do run into trouble, they have someone to go to, and if someone's just having a difficult time, they have support there to help.
Youth are learning, their brains are expanding, they need to be able to try them out, test things out, so they need to have a variety of things to do.
Having more activities, whether it's out of school or during school for out of school youth, where they can be involved with so they don't have to resort to the streets. So, just having more programs that help support our youth.
I think that helping communities sort of build on their own and start their own initiatives and work from the ground up, more grassroots solutions I think are much more powerful, and helping provide resources for communities to do that in their own way is the most important policy in my opinion.
I feel like they can sort of take their time and take their energy into recreational use, like either after school activities or in sports or through actual arts. I feel like that helps more than breaking down the community.